If there's just one thing that is so scary as a female who is unmarried, is missing your period. Other people believe that life begins at fertilization, and other people believe that life begins at conception. Should a woman who's aborted and a woman who's taken a morning after pill be viewed differently? This is the Unspoken podcast, and I am your host, Chris Lay. Every week, I will bring you a hot, juicy, life-changing topic. So join me every Friday at 8 p.m. Links in your DMs. Make sure to follow me on Anchor, Google Podcasts, and Radio Republic. That is where you have access to the podcast. But hey, if you cannot access it on the app, make sure to go through it on the website. That is if you cannot access it on the app. Well, I will be waiting for your responses in the comments. Yes, links in your DMs, and do follow. So right now, let's go right into the episode. I got so many people saying, what about the morning after pillars? What about the morning after pillars? What about those who take morning after pills? What about them? Why are you not talking about them when you're calling aborters killers? That was for the people, by the way, that did not listen to the episode. So if you noticed, my episode was, the title was very, very controversial. Yes, but not exactly what I was saying in the episode. And if you haven't listened to the episode, or probably you're new to the episode, you're new to the podcast, go back and listen to the previous episode. Then you understand where we're coming from and why my titles are put out in a certain way that they are and just aren't that. So today is what it is. Morning after pill is abortion, and morning after pill, taking morning after pill, is abortion. Hello, today before I even go further, to into this episode, we are a lot. I want to just give a little background, a little story. As you know me, I'm a storyteller. So, the first time I took a morning after pill was in 2019. I was in my third year and I was 19. And that was the first time I took a morning after pill. I was so scared. And the reason as to why I was scared was because I was afraid that, like if I'm pregnant, I'm not choosing otherwise. And that was a decision. So the first time I took a morning after pill, I took 2 because I panicked. And so I panicked so hard that I went to the school clinic. I was at Imolongoshi. I went to the school clinic, and then there was this young nurse, this young school nurse that we had. I think she was a doctor. Yeah, she was one of the doctors. She was the one found in the lab. So she noticed that I was literally shaking. So I was like, look, I'm panicking. I've taken two emergency pills, and I've taken another one as well. And I'm so scared. So she's the one who gave me the morning afters, and then I went in to take a pregnancy test. And go and pee in this thing. If you've never been in such a position where you have to pee in a little thing, then you've been a good person in your life. But for some of us, we have had to have pregnancy scares. That was my first one in 2019. I had a serious pregnancy scare. I was so afraid. So I took 2 pregnancy tests, and she told me, no, you were not even supposed to take them because then they messed with my menstrual flow. Okay, so they messed with my menstrual flow. So I was missing my days and whatever. So you can imagine how confused and scared I was. I was in my 3rd year. I didn't know what was going on. I was 19. I was afraid. And then I just didn't know who to tell. Of course, I had my friends who I would, communicate to. I mean, Natasha, Gloria. I would tell Natasha all the time. I'm like, I feel. I have my friend Natasha. She was just next door. She was always just about, I would like tell her, can you hold my belly? Do you feel anything? No, come and test me. Like, if you've never been in such a position, that's scary. And it's not nice. One thing that I just want to mention is it's not a nice feeling. It's not a nice place to be in, having a pregnancy scare. Even after you've taken your your emergency pill, your morning after, and you still feel something's off. You're missing your months, you're missing your flow, you're missing your days. And if there's just one thing that is so scary as a female who is unmarried, is missing your period. There's no 1-2 ways about it. So I missed my days. I was supposed to start, let's say, on the 12th. I can't remember then what my days were, but it was supposed to be on the 12th, and then I started like month end, and you can imagine what I was feeling. So in the middle of all that, you won't imagine, I went back to the school clinic. Now, this was when I actually frequented that place. I went back to the school clinic and I was like, you know what, I'm doing another pregnancy test because I'm having the moods. So I started having the moods. I started having them symptoms for pregnancy. You know, I was moody, I was craving, I was gaining. What else? Yes, I was, there's this, the moods. Oh, the morning sickness as well. I was having morning sickness. I didn't puke though, but I was just feeling nauseous every morning. So I was sure. At this time, when I was going to the school clinic, I was sure. And that was like 2-3 weeks of missing my period. I think that, I remember that was 3 weeks of missing my period. I tried to buy myself a pregnancy test. Didn't really work out because I just don't know. Up to date, I just don't know how to use pregnancy test. You know what I mean? So if you know how to deal with that mathematics, kudos to you. So this is me, 2019, 3 weeks of missing my period after I took 2 morning after pills. I decide to go and take another pregnancy test, my second one. And then I remember very vividly, I woke up in the morning and I did the preliminaries. Oh my God. I did what was supposed to be done before you actually go and take a pregnancy test. So that is just a paraphrase of what preliminary means. So yes, I did what was supposed to be done. I peed. I got myself a container and I peed before in it, so that when I go to the hospital, when I go to the school clinic, I just go direct and do the damn thing. You know what I mean? So I'm at the school clinic and I'm so afraid. I'm ashamed, by the way. There's just something about getting a pregnancy test. It's so shaming. And then the thing is, because then there's students and everybody's looking. So someone's like, oh, you know, someone is here to take a pregnancy test. And not even that, it's the nurses for me. First of all, the nurses are going to be out there shouting. I'm like, I'm going to for pregnancy test. I'm like, dude, can't you just whisper in the ear or something? Because, you is embarrassing me up in here. And by the way, I'm a third year student. Don't shout it. Yeah, but anyway, these guys, they should learn that, not everybody is open about these things, especially me. I was afraid, So this is me walking into the lab to get my results. And this is the doctor who treated me a good 3 weeks earlier. If you remember, as I said earlier, I took the first pregnancy. So this time, she decides to play a little game on me. Okay, so I'm there, I'm shaking. I missed my classes just to get this pregnancy because I was sure. At this point, I was sure that I'm pregnant and I had to make a decision. And it was in the morning. I said a prayer. To God. I said, God, look, if I'm pregnant, I'm sorry, but I'm not keeping this child because, first of all, the guy that I slept with, by the way, at that time, 2019, it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those guys that you just. So the reason as to why I was sleeping with this guy, and let me just tell you, there is no kid out there is sane enough if not taught. You know what I mean? So every child is having their own path and every child is making their own choices and decisions. And I believe that the elderly, this is where the elderly people come in to just guide. And every girl, every boy, they need big brothers, they need big sisters, they need people that are going to guide them, and I feel like that is very important in kids' lives. So for me, I made a decision on my own and I was like, you know what? I have a friend and I was like, you know what, I want you to teach me how to have sex. So that was me in 2019. As a 19-year-old girl, I found a friend who was sort of like my sex buddy, who would help me know how to have sex, because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how to have it. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I have a history of defilement and rape, but I've never really wanted to look at myself as a victim, so I never really, you know what I mean? So for some of us, you know, if you're being raped, if you're being defiled, there's really not much going on. You're just laying there. So I got used to that. So I remember the first time me and him had sex, it was that thing of he asked me his questions like, Chrisley, but what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. Isn't this how sex goes? And he goes like, no, sex is different. You know what I mean? So he taught me how porn. I'm like, no, I don't watch porn anymore. You know, I stopped watching porn in 2017 from the age 6. Yeah, from the time I was 6, I stopped watching porn till I was 17. That was 2017. So 2019, I was sort of over it. I just really wasn't watching porn anymore as I did. And yes. So this guy is telling me like, yo, this is sex, bro. Like it goes both ways. Why are you just laying? And I'm there like, I really don't know how these things work. So I told him, I said, okay, you know what? Since we're friends, you know, we're really good friends. Why don't you, and clearly we're not supposed to have any sex, but hey, since we're already at it, why don't you teach me? So he became like this sex tutor. I don't even know where I got that ideology. And I wish I could go back to that young girl and just tell her, yo, don't make that choice. You know what I mean? And I feel like probably she just didn't have who to seek that counsel from. Yeah. So yes, I'm not embarrassed by it, by the way. The reason as to why I'm saying it is because I'm not embarrassed by it. It's just something that happened, and probably I just didn't really have much guidance on that matter. I thought it was okay to have someone teach you how to have these things, because I didn't want to be that girl who is sent off to marriage and doesn't know these things. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that was my line of thought at the time when I was 19. Yeah, moving on. So, and you can imagine there was really not much of protection going on. You know what I mean? And because I just thought like, why, you know, if we're both clean, then why use protection or whatever? But hey, protection is very important. I know that now. Yes, 6 years later now. So this is me now thinking, you know, I'm telling God in the morning, and this is 2019, I'm telling God to say, God, look, if I'm pregnant, I'm not about to be a mother right now. And also looking at the father, it wasn't really a good foundation, as I could say that this person can father my kid, and I just didn't want him to be the father of my kid. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So yes, I decided, like, I didn't even know, but I was like, yo, hey, if I'm pregnant, God, I'm not keeping. I wasn't even about to tell my mom, yo, nah, you know, because it would be history repeating itself. And at the end of the day, I am working towards not allowing that history to repeat itself. I was that kid that was born out of two teenagers. You understand what I mean? Two teenagers that loved themselves, you know, and they loved each other. And yeah, they at 18 years old, you know, 18, 119, and you know, they made it Chrisley. You know what I mean? You can imagine what's the update now, which I'm not about to talk about. I'm not about to go into those details. But hey, I was raised with a single mom. My mom was single. She raised me single-handedly, and this is out of circumstances not beyond her control. I think some of it was to her control, but most of it was beyond her control. So it's not something I want to talk about now. I'm going to talk about it in the next months. That is August. I'm going to be talking about, the theme of the month is family. I think I mentioned that. I'm going to be talking about all these, you know, these issues, daddy issues, mommy issues, stepchildren, step this, step that. I'm going to go into that, you know, generational, you know, traits and whatever. That's for later on. But we're here. We're talking about how I was thinking about the fact that I was not about to bring a child at 19 years old into the world. While I was in my third year, I'm in law school. It was not even an option, because I just wasn't about to do that to my kid. Yeah. So that was my reasoning. So this is me now. What's you on the story? I go to the school clinic and I'm there, like I take my urine sample and they're like, no, you need to pee. I said, look, my sister, tavichita kudala ivo an kaka botroniaka tatunda kudala, the first urine of the day. Tengani. Just get my sample and tell me, all right? Tell me if I'm pregnant or not. So now we're at the point, if you remember very well, if you're following very well, we are already at the point where this doctor is trying to make a move on me. So I'm there and she's like, Nkonika. And I'm like, yeah. She was like, oh, you're back again. I'm like, yes, I am back again. And now I am pretty sure that I'm pregnant. And she goes like, really? And then I say, yes. So she's like, okay. So what will happen in a case that you are pregnant? And I told her, I didn't even beat around the bush. I'll be like, okay, you know what? If that happens, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to ask you to give me the alternatives. And she's like, what are the alternatives? And I told her, to her face, abortion. And she laughed. And I'm like, no, trust me, I'm very serious. And then she says, oh, okay. And then if you're not pregnant, I'm like, we thank God. For me, it's we thank God in heaven that that's not happened. So she says, oh, okay, cool. So then she tells me, Chrisley, your results are positive. You're pregnant. And I said, okay, fine. And this is me. I didn't panic in any way. I felt bad that was the result. But then I told her, tell me what to do next, because the next step for me is abortion. And she looked at me for a while and she gave me 1 minute and she said, okay, go sit on the bench. And I said, I went to sit on the bench. And then she came again. So, okay, why do you want to abort? And I told her, look, I'm not about to be a mother. All right, I'm about to write my exams in third year. I'm going to fourth year very soon. I'm not about to be a mother. And she says, is that the only reason? I said, yes. And she looked at me and she saw how serious I was. And then she says, girl, I'm kidding. She says, girl, I'm joking. And then I'm like, guys, have you ever taken the breath of life? Genesis, that one, the breath of life. No, I was relieved. And I was relieved because I didn't have to do it. If you know what I mean. I didn't have to do it. Now, that was 2019. And 2019, 2020, 2022, 2023, it's been a journey of moving past all these things. And never have I come across this question to say, people who take morning after pills are literally aborting. You know what I mean? So other people believe that life begins at fertilization, and other people believe that life begins at conception. Aristotle, if you follow the writings of Aristotle was one of the guys in these earliest days that believed that life begins at conception. But there's also other people, be it authors, writers, they believe that it begins at conception. So conception and fertilization. So I really don't know, to be very honest with you, why the people that think life begins at fertilization believe that life begins at fertilization. But I don't think that taking a morning after pill is abortion. And if it is, then that's bad. But I don't believe that it's not. So let's go into some facts, shall we? Okay, so a morning after pill, also known as an emergency contraceptive pill, is not the same as an abortion pill, FYI. The morning after pill is a form of contraception that can be taken up to 72 hours after unprotected sex to prevent pregnancy. So it works by delaying or preventing ovulation. So which is the release of, we all know what ovulation is, but if you don't know, this is the release of the egg from the ovary, and only this happens in women, please. And if ovulation has already occurred, the morning after pill may prevent the fertilization of the egg or prevent the fertilized egg from implanting into the uterus. So it's a both of two things here. It can either prevent the fertilized egg. So if your egg has been fertilized, it prevents that from going into your uterus and forming what is known as conception, which is the baby being formed. And on the other hand, an abortion pill, because we have to know what abortion is at the end of the day, an abortion pill, which is also known now, right, as medical abortion or medication abortion. So it's either known as medical abortion or medication abortion, and it's used to terminate an established pregnancy. So I like the saying that says you cannot kill what is not there. All right. So it involves taking two different medications to end a pregnancy. This is mifepristone and misoprostol, and this pill is only effective up to 10 weeks of pregnancy and works by causing the uterus to contract and expel its contents. So I want you to understand, both a morning after pill and abortion may prevent or end a pregnancy, but they work in different ways and serve different purposes. So a morning after pill and an abortion pill prevent or end a pregnancy, meaning their purpose is the same thing. If we're being honest, the purpose is the same thing, but they work differently. But the purpose is the same thing. So no, I think the purpose is, I am very much contradicting myself right now. The purpose is different, but it's with the same aim, the same goal. The same way that a woman who wants to abort and the same way that a woman who is taking a morning after pill, what they're thinking, what is in their minds is the same thing. It's to terminate. At the end of the day, if you're taking a morning after pill, the motive is to terminate whatever could have been formed, if at all it's been formed. And if it hasn't been formed, for you, you're like, oh, thank God. But if it was formed, that's why you're taking it. So the mindset is the same. However, the purposes are different. So if you're taking an abortion pill, your mindset is the same. You want to prevent what has been created. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what makes the purposes different. But otherwise, I think the mindset is the same. So the mindset that is in the woman that is taking a morning after pill right now, somewhere in this world, there's a woman right now taking a morning after pill. And right now in this world, somewhere, there's a woman who is contemplating aborting. So the mindset of these two women is the same, and it's not different. It's the same because they're both thinking about termination. They're both thinking about terminating. So are you who's taking a morning after pill better than the one who is aborting? No, you're all the same. But is taking a morning after pill abortion? No, because they're different. In a morning after pill, we're working with possibility. We're working with probability. We don't know. It can or cannot. It may have been or it isn't. Or it is or it may have not been. You understand? We're working with probability. There's a high chance that there is something that was formed and there's a low chance that there's nothing. So you're working with the probability. But whereas for abortion, you're not working with any probability. You know it's there. You know it's there and you want to terminate. So are they the same? For me, if you're asking me as Chrisley, are those women different? Should a woman who's aborted and a woman who's taken a morning after pill be viewed differently? No, because all of y'all had the same motive, which was to terminate, if at all it was there. And when you're taking a morning after pill, for you, you know that there is a high chance that you may get pregnant. You know what I mean? So when you're taking this morning after pill, your hope is that it terminates whatever could have been created. So in a case that it was actually created, your egg was actually fertilized by the sperm. Well, sister, you're doing literally the same thing that woman is doing, who is aborting. So, but it doesn't make you an aborter. It makes you something else. What is that? I don't know. But what my point is, I'm trying to lay a clear distinction that morning after pill is not abortion. But the women are no different from each other. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm pretty sure we heard the audio I played you of this young lady in the previous episode, and she gave her testimony of how she aborted. Me and her are not different. Period. Because in one way or the other, what if the time I took a morning after pill, my egg was actually fertilized? I pretty much did the same thing, don't you think? So we're not different. But again, there could have been a possibility that when I was taking that morning after pill, there actually wasn't anything. Because of, for women, there's the flow days, there's ovulation. So already as a woman, you know that if you have sex during your ovulation days, bro, what are you doing? And why would you have sex during your ovulation days? Well, unless you want to get pregnant. But if you don't want to, then why would you have unprotected sex during your ovulation? You want to get pregnant. So don't blame anybody if you're put in a dilemma of wanting to have to abort, because at the end of the day, you know that that is not a right choice to make. So like I said in the previous episode, choice matters, and choice is very important. Okay, so it is also important to note that a morning after pill is a safe and effective form of emergency contraceptive that can prevent, as you already know, unintended pregnancy. And if you are unsure about its use or have any concerns, it is recommended to speak with a healthcare provider. So you can always go to see the doctor and ask them, look, how does this work? You can go to a pharmacist and ask, how does this work? Sometimes don't buy things off counters without asking, or because you feel like it's the safe thing, it's the safe way to go, because these things mess up a lot of our hormones, they mess up a lot of our flow states. That's why it's also advised that as a woman, it's even not advised for you to have sex all the time. It's not advised. It's not advised to have sex all the time, guys, because that can be very detrimental to our being. All right. So in case you're wondering, like, oh, when do you use an emergency contraceptive? You know what I mean? An emergency pill. Probably you didn't use a condom when having sex, as we have been taught from time immemorial. Always condomize. I think I always say this in my podcast. I'm always saying, guys, condomize. Yes. Or there was a problem in there are these things, a morning after pill gone wrong. Probably it was expired, and then why Sangafie pregnant? You believe in your head, you believe in your mind that you took a morning after pill, but then you find yourself pregnant. A morning after pill gone wrong. You know what I mean? These are things that I addressed in the previous episode. And then also probably it could be that the condom that you were using ripped or, slipped off or broke. You know what I mean? That's when now you find people with unwanted pregnancy because this thing happened. Or probably you want to use the withdrawal method and your partner probably just did not pull out in time. You know what I mean? Or you were forced to have unprotected sex. These are matters or you were forced to have unprotected sex, so you just have to take a pill eventually. Or you were raped. Or you were defiled, or you were raped, and you were raped by this guy. And guys, please call a spade a spade. Don't call it, he took advantage of me. I spent my life calling rape as he took advantage of me. It took a long while. One of my friends, Natasha from university, she had put on her status this one time, I remember very well, and she made it so clear. And to me, I felt so bad because I felt like for a long time I was too naive, and probably for me it's because of my childhood trauma that I probably need to dig in and probably heal from that. So I need to go and receive some therapy. But of which I've started my therapy sessions, because you need to heal. This is PTSD. It's affected part of some of my relationships and just how open I can be, and my relationship with men. It's really affected that. So I am receiving a bit of some counseling, and it's going well, dealing with my childhood trauma, especially when it comes to my sexual life, or my sexual trauma, or tensions with men, or relationship with men, my perception of men. That's what I'm dealing with in my counseling sessions. But not to sway you away from anything, we're still talking about the fact that have an emergency pill. It's very important to take it, but then don't take it all the time. Meaning that if you're sexually active, you can abstain. It's still open. It doesn't make you uncool. It doesn't make you uncool to abstain. It doesn't make you uncool to say, use a condom. It doesn't make you uncool to tell a guy to wear a condom, to strap up. It's either you strap up or nothing. To avoid you taking in these morning after pills regularly. That's how you find people that gain from nowhere and looking fresh and whatever. It's because of these pills. These pills make you have this irregular gain because it messes up with your hormone. Your hormonal balance is messed up. So, like I've advised, taking the morning after pill multiple times it won't make you sick or have any bad, but it's not a good idea to use the morning after pill as regular. So if you want to continue being sexually active as consistent, you can use an IUD, implant, pill, or shot, or even a ring. There's what we call a ring. You know what I mean? This can use to prevent pregnancy or unwanted pregnancies, or use a birth control method as well. You can, those are some of the birth control methods as well. Morning after pill side effects, there's like bleeding in between your periods. So you have these irregular period flows, and those are not nice. So you can always avoid using those things. Okay, so it's either you go the way of IUD as an emergency contraception, but for me, my word and thought on this is, my mind on this is also just don't have a lot of sex. You know what I mean? Like, try to go the right way and avoid having too much sex. But if you can't stop having a lot of sex, and it's unprotected, then I would advise that you go another way. You find sort of like family planning. You know what I mean? You go some way of family planning. You use an IUD if you don't want. But all I'm saying is that these morning after pills are not really healthy for our bodies. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. So yes, so I'm going to play you. I'm gonna give you a little view. This is someone else who came in, and this is a young lady as well. She came in with her view, and she's going to say something on the matter. Yes.
So morning after pills being considered as abortion pills is a bit absurd to me, because these are drugs, medications that are preventing a pregnancy. Okay, they are stopping the fertilization process. They're preventing the fertilization process. So technically, there's no baby. Because you can take a morning after pill, but actually in that period, you were not even fertile to reproduce. I don't know if you get me. Like, you can take a morning after pill because you're paranoid. You have paranoia to say, I'm going to get pregnant. But in that particular time, maybe a baby wasn't even about to be made. You are not fertile at the point. So that morning after pill sometimes is taken in vain. Okay? So comparing it to abortion pills is a bit rather vague, because abortion pills kill the baby, like they terminate the baby. So I don't think the two should be put in the same context. And then talking about abortion pills. I actually had an abortion once. I was in second year school, college, yeah. I had an abortion. And it's a decision that I had to make, very tough decision. But I sat myself down because I looked at a lot of things, a lot of aspects in my life. I, for one, grew up without a dad. I grew up without a father figure in my life because I was born out of wedlock. Okay? And history repeating itself? No. My child going through what I went through? No. I didn't want that. I was not financially stable. The father was irresponsible. Oh my God, I'm not going to call him father. The sperm donor at the time isn't responsible even up to now. Shithead. Pussy ass bitch, if you ask me. Sorry for cursing. So I looked at raising a child in Zambian society where a child that is born out of wedlock is stigmatized, okay? And having to be a single mother, that's a lot of impact. Dropping out of school, that was a lot. That was really a lot. I know it's a sin. I'm a Christian, but I talked to God about it. I'm a Christian and I know my Father in heaven is a forgiving Father, He's a merciful God. Some decisions we make in life really hurt, but some decisions and steps that are taken to protect, they're really hard decisions. Honestly speaking, that decision I made back then has had an impact with my life because I had to deal with anxiety, I had to deal with paranoia. Honestly speaking, my sex life after that was a bit pathetic because I was paranoid the whole time, like I'm gonna get pregnant. But I asked for forgiveness and I went through therapy because I had to do the termination alone. A 19-year-old doing it. No one in the family knew at the time. They didn't know, but I had to go through it alone because I knew I wouldn't want to raise my kid in an environment where it wouldn't be suitable. If I'm going to have kids, because I don't plan on having any, because I would be unfair. Like, I didn't have a kid once. Why am I going to have a kid now? Yeah, so it's a lot to deal with. That's why I always advise young girls that are sexually active, please take precautions. Precautions number one, that I'm going to speak from my experience now as a 23-year-old in Zambia. I'm on pre-exposure prophylaxis drugs for HIV. I'm on PrEP drugs because I don't know what these guys are up to. Like the guy I'm with, I don't know what he's up to. He might have other girls that he's hitting with, and I don't know that. And I don't want to get HIV. So I'm on PrEP, one. Secondly, he's circumcised. I made sure of it. Like, I don't want to get HPV virus. I don't want to get cervical cancer, no. Thirdly, I'm on family planning. I'm on contraceptives. I'm on birth control because I don't want to repeat that mistake. And I know some myths go around saying, no, you can't take family planning if you've never had a kid. That's bogus. That is bogus. You don't want to have a kid, put yourself on contraceptives. Morning after pills also, it's an emergency contraceptive for a reason. Research says you're supposed to take 2 morning after pills within a period of 1 year, 12 months, only 2. But young girls, they take morning after pills every week, even every other day, because they don't want to be pregnant. So the best thing is put yourselves on contraceptives, put yourselves on family planning. If you do not like condoms, put yourselves on Xenia. You can put yourselves on Cyanopress. It has lesser side effects. Okay? I recommend Cyanopress and Xenia because I've used them before. I'm actually currently on Cyanopress. So I think contraceptives, prevention is better than cure all the time. Prevention is better than cure. So take your emergency contraceptive if you've made a blunder, and then put yourselves on long-term contraceptives to prevent the pregnancy. And hashtag put yourselves on pre-exposure prophylaxis for HIV PrEP. Please, guys. Raw is good. I like it raw, but then I don't know what this other guy is up to. Ne? So yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. Ooh, I do hope that you got something from that. You got something from that. That's her view. That's her point of view. That is her POV. But then I have another interesting young lady. And this one really touched me. I'm going to play it at the end of this episode. I'm going to play it at the end of this episode. I just want to, conclude. I'm going to play it at the end of this episode. But she had something very profound to say, and she came in, she was like, oh, Chrisley, I know I'm late for the episode, but I just want to open up and say, I've been there. And she's also one who's aborted before, and she was like, I've been there, and this is what I have to say about it. So I'm going to play it towards the end. You're going to listen to it towards the end. But yes, this has been the episode. I do hope you have gotten one or two things. So bottom line, Mwebantu, a plan B, it's also known as a plan B, a contraception, an emergency pill, a morning after pill, isn't the same as abortion. It's not abortion. It's not. Hear this from me. It's not abortion. The abortion pill ends an early pregnancy. In contrast, a morning after pill can be used only to help prevent pregnancy. Let's put that in line. Abortion, it ends the pregnancy. It ends what's already there. But a pill, a morning after pill, prevents a pregnancy only if it is taken within 5 days of sex. So it works by delaying or stopping ovulation. And so that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line about it. A morning after pill is not abortion. And I do hope that you've understood all these contrasts. Yes. So this is where we end it. This is where we end talking about abortion. This is where we end talking about anything to do with the morning after pill or anything to do in those lines. But keep those comments coming. If you have an experience, share it. If you've been through abortion, share it. But I do hope that you gain one or two things from what this young lady has to say. I'm going to play the audio now. And yeah, so from me, your girl, you know what I mean? It's goodbye. This is where the episode ends. I do hope you're going to learn one or two things from what she has to say. She shares her story, and for me, it left me in tears. So I hope you're going to spare a small 6 minutes just to hear what she says. And for me, your girl, Chrisley, Manawa Kumawa, it's goodbye. And this is the Unspoken podcast. Do not forget to follow on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel as well. Support the page. Nyanyu. Support the page. You know how we do Panovanyain. And do follow as well on Google Podcasts. On Anchor as well. Support Anchor. And if you want to start your own podcast, do start on Spotify for podcasters and Anchor. These support and they're really good. As for me, it's goodbye. And by the way, do you know where I'm recording from? You won't believe where I'm recording from, but hey, in the next episode, we will talk about that. I do hope that you are excited for July. It's going to be massive. But until the next episode, it's bye-bye. And listen to this next, what this young lady has to say.
I honestly don't think people that abort are killers. I don't think so. Well, I'll start with what just happened to a friend of mine, right? So I saw something on her status. This is a girl who got pregnant she wanted to trap a man. That's the right word I want to use. She wanted to trap a man. She started dating this guy. So I'll say she started dating this guy maybe in January. Ne? So she's dating this guy in January. They met in a club. So they dated. And this guy, every time she'd go to his house, he would tell her after having sex, he would tell her to say, drink the morning after pill. And then she stopped taking those pills, right? She stopped taking those pills, and the next minute is a month later, she's pregnant. And this guy's like, no, you chopped me. Because I made sure to say you took those contraceptives. So what are you saying that you're pregnant? Why are you saying that you're pregnant? Yeah? And her plan was to get pregnant so that this guy can marry her. And it didn't work out. With my experience, honestly speaking, I'll come here and tell you to say I have had 2 abortions, right? 2 abortions in my life. And the first one, I was very, very, very young. I didn't even know what I was doing. And I asked advice from other people, and I'm like, I'm young right now. I don't know if I want to keep. I can't even make the right decision for myself right now. I don't know if I want to keep. I don't know if I want to get rid of it. And most of them were like, you know what, you're still young, you've got a life ahead of you. So the best thing you can do is just get rid of it. But it's still very small, right? So it's like, I think 3 weeks, and I got rid of it. Yes, the pain is massive. You get to have you get traumatized later on, because when you're sleeping, you think you said, did I kill somebody? You know what I mean? And then the second one, I was already matured enough, and I was big enough, you know. I got pregnant for somebody that was not my man. I got pregnant for somebody that is married. You know what I mean? So I didn't even tell him anything. I was just trying. I know it was a bit selfish, but I was also trying to protect his home. I was like, why should I get pregnant for somebody that is not my husband? And that was like just a mistake. You know what I mean? It was a mistake. And I was like, you know what? Let me clean this up. So if you're telling me to say people that abort are killers, right? What of those people? I feel like a person that aborts when it's too small is better than somebody who allows the baby to come to earth and then they just dump them somewhere or kill them. I feel like somebody who gets rid of something when it's still blood, they're better. Well, because it's a Christian nation, and then there are biblical setups. So, but removing that, I feel like it's your own body, and you have the right to make the decision that you feel. You have all the right to make any decision that you feel like. If you feel like you want to keep something, and a child is not child's play. A child is not just something you bring. Oh, let it grow, and then to grow on its own, it to blossom, and then it's gonna go to school on its own. A child it's a lot of responsibilities. A lot of it. So I feel like everybody has the right to make their own decision, because it's their own bodies. Everybody's entitled to their own decisions, because it's their body. And if today they feel like keeping a child, let's not go and crucify people who get rid of them. Let's go and not crucify people who are bored, because by the end of the day people have certain reasons why they get rid of certain things. Yeah, they have certain reasons. I had a friend of mine that got raped and got pregnant. She got rid of it because she was just like, I'm not really sure if I'm the type of person that can handle to keep a child under those circumstances that happened to me. So are you also going to blame them to say, oh, she's a killer because she killed a child? She was raped. She doesn't want to take her resentment to the child. She wouldn't want to do that. So yeah, pretty much I feel like everybody has the right to make their own decision, because it's their own body. And today if I decide to say, okay, I'm going to get rid of this, I'm going to get rid of it, because it's my body. Whatever makes me feel comfortable. Misinformation, is it the pill? Yeah. I just saw something on Instagram. There was a lady that was saying to say, I don't know, she had the IUD, and then I don't know how it moved and stuff. So they use misinformation to lighten her, abdomen or something. I don't know, something related to her stomach, like her stomach and stuff. Yeah, it's also they didn't use that to get rid of the pregnancy and stuff. They used that to save her. You know what I mean? So I honestly don't feel like every person that gets rid of a baby or gets rid of a fetus is a killer. People have a lot of reasons why they do that. So do I support it? Honestly, yes, I do support it. I don't feel like it's a bad thing. Is it something people should be doing more often? No. But people should be allowed to do what they feel like doing with their bodies.